This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching.
This is the C10. We rode this with a lot of different boards. I rode this with the Ride Wildlife mostly, but then we had to put it on the Ultracraft and the Hovercraft to kind of see how it would do with a board that really needs a lot of response from a binding and a boot. And we compared it against the C8 and against the Union Atlas, which was the closest responsive binding we had. And right before this, we rode the Flux XF. Yep. And that's a very responsive bind, just next level response. So we're gonna reference that occasionally if we can remember. Yeah. We also rode this with the Endeavor Pioneer.
Not responding to text messages. Too much response.
The Ride Fuse boot, the Ride 92. And the Lasso Pro and our Adidas Tactical ADVs. So we got a few days on this and put it through its paces. New material too this year, and plastic. It isn't just for dildos anymore, it's also for ride bindings. I like it, actually. I'm glad they went back on their motto. The weight, on the heavier side. Yep. You know, in comparison to Flux, in comparison to the Jones/Now bindings, they were all lighter than these by a little bit. You can see the weight here.
It's the thick boy.
It's thick boy, but they don't care that much about weight, and we don't either when we get on the binding on the snow.
It's true.
It feels good and damp and strong. And the Highback Flex is stiff as fuck. It just doesn't give, it twists barely, but at least you can rotate it a little bit. I like the high back rotation on the C8 better, but we'll get into that in a bit. Flex underfoot, buttering. You know, this kind of like quasi mini disc. It's kind of like it seems a little smaller than a full-size disc, but not a full-on mini disc.
It's got a small disc, eh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
The ride binding.
Yes, the ride binding.
Yeah.
And
it's not mini though.
It butters pretty good though. The Flex underfoot, it's not dead, and there's still a lot of dampness, basically with this EVA foam all throughout the bottom of the binding here.
A lot of dampness.
Yeah, and
like the back of my pants right now, sitting in the sun.
Yeah, little duck butter, huh? But the turn initiation and response. Now here's the interesting thing. Put this on the Wildlife. Felt like this is a really responsive binding. Put this on the Hovercraft and Ultracraft with almost like, it's just got such a mellow side cut. It really needs you to power the board. It really needs the binding to power the board. This kind of fell apart. I was surprised. So it depends on the board. If you're on a really demanding board that's really slow edge to edge and you really want to power it edge to edge, I felt this lacking. Like the XF just blew doors over it. Even the Atlas was more responsive. I just felt like, especially on the toe side, just when I went over, I just didn't feel like there was much pull that way. Yeah. So it really didn't power the board the way I'd like it to. But shock absorption and dampness, it's just up there, especially the dampness. The shock absorption is good. There's better shock absorption out there, but this is so damp.
It's through the roof. Yeah. It's through the floor. Your feet feel like they're in a mattress store. That's my dampness rhyme for this.
There we go. Yeah, and the canting. Both bindings have canting and support. That's the biggest thing. I think that's what makes this less responsive than it is, especially on the toe side, is just this tiny ankle strap. It's just so small for such a burly, stiff, responsive base plate and high back. It just feels like it doesn't match up well with this binding. If you like a responsive binding with a lot of freedom of movement, you really like to tweak it out, this is gonna be fun. But for those of us who like a lot of support and a lot of response, these aren't. That was the one problem. Uneven terrain. We were really having a lot of problems just with the support there. I just felt my boots folding over too much, and I didn't like it.
Really felt it. Really felt my boot folding over. Really felt the pressure point in the top of my foot as like it just didn't give me the response and support that I wanted.
Yeah. Check our C8 review, but you can see the strap here. It is really kind of soft rubber
to the point where it's
right here,
just too stretchy in my opinion.
And then hard, ungrippy plastic on the sides. Now what happens is the soft rubber stretches around your boot, you ratchet it in, you crank it down as hard as you want. You're like, this is great. Then you go down the run, every time, literally every time for 3 days of riding this, the toe strap came off our toes. On our Adidas Tactical ADVs,
yeah.
And on our ride boots too. You would think they would work better together, but they didn't. And that was a bummer for us. That's kind of, this and the small ankle strap are the deal breaker. Everything else about this binding is amazing.
That happens to me a lot on like other bindings sometimes, but their ankle strap is usually so supportive that it can compensate for that. Whereas this one, you really felt the double combination of your toe strap coming off.
Now, Ratchet System, it's a little sticky, but this is a demo model, and in production, it should be nice and smooth. Adjustability, they did an amazing job with this. You see here, there is a little marker here, and you can really push this in or pull it out, the heel loop. And that's what I love about this new design, because you can really center your boot very well in this binding. And the toe ramp, the gas pedal, comes out too a little bit, in and out. So this is great for those in-betweener sizes, and they just nailed the boot to binding adjustability. They've got on-the-fly adjustable ratchets. If you have boat hands, if you've worked on a boat all summer, or you're a rock climber and you've got the strongest hands in the world, you can open these. I think in production it'll be easier, I hope.
Maybe not, you know, maybe that's just what they're going for, super locked in.
And you've got, you got some forward lean on the Highback. The Highback rotation is not as good as the C8. You can see there's just two options here where the C8 could slide. Let me show you that real quick.
But at least it's got some.
Yeah, you got sliders in there, if you can see, hopefully. You can turn the disc sideways because you can dial this out to the boot perfectly. You can turn this disc, this kind of mini disky.
You can get forward, you can get side to side rotation.
A little bit.
Tip
to tail.
Tip to tail.
You can slide it tip to tail kind of easy.
Yeah, you have some adjustability options in the disc.
So for us, the ankle strap and the toe strap that came loose was a deal breaker.
Kind of a deal breaker.
But for others, if you like a small ankle strap, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. And maybe the toe strap won't slide off for you. Maybe you don't have tiny little princess feet like us. Maybe you weren't working in a geisha house through most of your life.
That's a story for another time.
Tell you, dear readers.
So welcome to the Good Ride.
People will thank us in the future.
One day.
One day.
Thank us or spank us. Spank Peter if you want to thank Peter. That's his thing.
Yeah.
For me, just thank me. Give me a hug. I don't want to be spanked. And when we were
it's
in
like if you're gonna have
terrain,
a small disc, you'd want a big strap.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you gotta compensate somewhere.
You gotta compensate.
This is just
and
saying,
I don't think that those two mesh up well.
It's like Tinder, 5 inches is okay at 60 RPM. One of my buddies, he's like, yeah, swipe right.
All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the Me Harmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.